Drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.
Welcome to irrefutable.com, your online gateway to the world of invaluable knowledge. During our past discussions on the present value, we tried to understand the concept of present value. We tried to understand the importance of making the cash flows comparable across the two time frames, that is, between the future value and the present time period, using the method of discounting. We also try to understand that how exactly this comparability of cash flows has got a very important and a far-reaching implication on almost all the crucial financial decisions, the most important of them being the capital budgeting decisions. We also try to understand that why is it so very important for the finance manager to ensure that the present value of the future cash flows arising out of the current investment which is being made into the long-term asset should be more than the cost of the asset, so that the long-term wealth creation may be given effect to with the help of the NPV or the net present value creation. We also try to understand that why is it so very important for the finance manager to ensure the viability and the future profitability of the capital assets of the projects. We saw that how NPV creation is being made possible with the help of the present value calculations. Of course, there's a full chapter dedicated to it when we shall be seeing in our successive discussions on by the name of the capital budgeting decisions. And even in this particular session also, we shall be trying to understand the concept of NPV creation and the role of the present value calculation with the help of a very simple numerical. We try to understand that the present value computation gives a very powerful tool in the hands of the finance manager, with the help of which the comparability of the cash flows can be done, with the help of which he or she can ascertain that what exactly is the present value or the present time value or the T0 value of any cash flows which are going to arise in the distant future. And this comparability quotient plays a very crucial role in taking a sound financial management decisions, because we have also discussed that most of the decisions, they have got a very far-reaching implications. They belong to a longer time frame. All the decisions are not concerned with the shorter time frames. So when we are looking into a distant future, when we are looking into a long-term future, it becomes very important to have such a tool in our hand with the help of which the future cash flows can be converted to their comparable amount of the present, with the help of which sound decisions may be enabled. So on a very lighter note, we try to understand the concept of present value with reference to a kind of a time travel, wherein using the spaceship of discounting, we are traveling from the future towards present. Now students, in this particular session, we shall be trying to see that how exactly present value calculations have an impact on an individual's decision making criteria, how exactly an individual's decision making can also be based upon the concept of present value. Because students, if you have broader look at the things, you can appreciate the fact that even an economic entity, even a company is also an artificial person. So whatever profitability, whatever viability, whatever financial return on investment is being pursued by the companies, the same goals are being pursued by individual investors at the same time. In this particular session, we will try to derive certain basic formulas which, although might look quite basic, quite simple, but they do lay a strong foundation stone based upon which the future calculations can be worked out, the future derivations can be based upon. So we should try to have some very patient learning over here, careful listening over here. The concepts are very simple yet very, very important. So students, let's start with our current discussion concerned with how exactly present value calculations help an investor in taking sound decisions. Now, we shall try to understand the concept with the help of a very simple numerical. It is very simple, it is very, very basic, it is very rudimentary in nature. Now, suppose an investor has 1000 USD with him and his required rate of return is 10%. The question says, suppose an investor has 1000 USD with him and his required rate of return is 10%. He is given an offer to invest his money for 1 year, which promises to repay him 1,500 at the end of 1 year. Should he accept the offer? A closer look at the question shall reveal that certain conditions have been given to us and we need to base our advice to the investor keeping into consideration all those conditions which have been laid forth for us. First is that the investor at T0 or at present the investor is having 1000 USD by his side. The investor right now he is having 1000 USD along with him and he is being asked to forgo his 1000 USD for one full year. So students, you might see over here that the investor right now he is having 1000 USD at his disposal and he is being offered to part away from his 1000 USD for one full year, at the end of which he is being promised a payout of 1500 USD. Once again students, an investor is having 1000 USD by his side right now, which he is expected to part away for one full year, against which he shall be receiving 1500 USD upon the completion of 1 year. But apart from these three variables, the most important variable which we have been provided to us, is that his required rate of return is 10%. We have already discussed the concept of required rate of return at length, so I won't be delving deeper into that. Only for the sake of your reference, it is being given that the required rate of return for the investor is 10%. It means that the 10% is the required rate of return which the investor wants to seek. It is a bare minimum rate of return which the investor wants to seek against his investment. So now the question can be seen in light of this required rate of return of 10%. Prima facie, you will find that the proposition looks quite lucrative. That okay, fine, for 1 year I have to part away with 1000 USD, and upon the completion of 1 year I shall be getting 1500. But before jumping to any conclusion, we should always try to see the viability of the investment. We should always try to see the lucrativeness of the investment in light of the required rate of return. The required rate of return, again students, we have already seen, it plays the most crucial role in case of any financing decision, whether it is for an individual or for a company. So the same goes over here in this particular case also. The same rule stands tall over here also, that we shall be trying to base our judgment, we shall be trying to base our advice to the investor on the basis of his required rate of return of 10%. Now, before answering this question, let's try to work out a very simple but a very powerful calculation. It's a very powerful and very useful at the same time. You might be seeing that in front of your eyes a very familiar formula reappears. I'm using the word reappearing. Why? Because this formula has been made well acquainted with you in our past discussions. The formula is Fn is equal to P into 1 plus I raised to the power n. Needless to say, this is the formula for calculating the future value of a present lump sum across n number of years against an I% rate of interest. Once again, student, this calculation is that of the future value computation of any present amount across n number of years against I% rate of interest. So instead of getting deeper into that, let's proceed. This formula can be tweaked, this formula can be manipulated in order to calculate the present value calculation. I once again repeat, this formula Fn is equal to P into 1 plus I to the power of n can be manipulated a bit in order to calculate or in order to arrive at the formula for calculating the present value of the future cash flow. So how this manipulation is being done? Let's see. Since Fn is equal to P into 1 plus I to the power of n. So students, please pay some careful attention. Fn is equal to P into 1 plus I to the power of n. That is a future value of a present cash flow across n number of years against I% required rate of return. So needless to say, if F is equal to P into 1 plus I to the power of n, so P into 1 plus I raised to the power of n is equal to Fn. Therefore, P is equal to Fn into 1 upon 1 plus I to the power of n. Pay very careful attention over here, students. P is equal to P or the present value. Present value is equal to Fn into 1 upon 1 plus I to the power of n. Or P is equal to Fn upon 1 plus I to the power of n. Or better still, P is equal to Fn into 1 plus I raised to the power minus n. So this is very important point, dear students. P is equal to Fn into 1 plus I raised to the power of negative n or minus n. let me tell you at this particular juncture, student, that this is not the correct way of representing. This is not the correct way of writing the formula. I am writing it over here. I have rather written it over here for you just to understand the implication of the negative power of n. Again, this is not the usual practice. Rather, the usual practice to write the formula is P is equal to Fn upon 1 plus I raised to the power n. We don't usually write to a negative power, a negative exponential power raised against the base. Now, if you take a closer look, you will find that there are stark differences between this formula and this formula. There is a stark difference, there is a glaring difference between the future value calculation formula as well as the present value calculation formula. Almost they look identical. They look identical with the difference that in the case of future value, the n has been raised to a positive exponential power, whereas in the case of the present value calculation, n has been raised to a negative exponential power. Once again, students, although both those formulas might look identical, the difference is that in the case of future value, the n has been raised to a positive exponential power, while in the case of present value, n has been raised to a negative exponential power. And this is what that separates, or it runs a wedge through the concept of both. As we all know, students, that future value computation is based on the fundamentals of compounding. The future value calculations are based on the concepts of compounding, while the present value calculation is based on the concept of discounting. Once again, students, the future value calculations are based on the concepts of compounding, while the present value calculations are based on the concept of discounting. In case of compounding, we all know that compounding is a process wherein the interest which is being earned on the principal is being reinvested back into the principal, so that for the next year the interest becomes the new principal, or the existing principal goes up by the amount of the interest, and the new interest which is being calculated, that is being calculated on the existing principal and the added interest thereupon. So it goes without saying that as and when in the case of compounding we increase the I and we increase the power n, the power of compounding goes on increasing. Finally, to the extent that by the end of the nth year, the future value becomes a substantial amount due to the reinvestment of the interest into the principal and earning of a new interest on the swelled up principal as well as the interest. This concept we have already discussed, but just as a reminder, this was exactly how the concept of compounding is supposed to work. Exactly contrary to what I have just discussed takes place in the case of the present value calculation. As we all know, student, that present value is a method by which we are reducing the future value to its comparable value in the present. The basic difference between the future value and present value is that in the case of a future value, we travel from the present to the future, while in the case of the present value, we travel from the future to the present. Once again, student, in the case of the future value calculations, we travel from the present to the future, while in the case of present value, we travel from the future to the present. Needless to say, in the case of undertaking the travel from present to the future, we are going from t0 to tn, while in the case of the present value calculation, we are traveling from tn to t0, or the time 0. The moment you find that the power has been raised to a positive n in the case of compounding, we have already seen that I and n, as and when they increase, the power of p goes on increasing, the entire fund goes on increasing till the time we arrive at the future amount at the end of the nth year, you have got a substantial amount. In the case of the present value calculation, the moment you find that the power has been raised to a negative n, it means that the net effect is a diminishing effect. In the case of in the reference to compounding, we are having a compounding effect or an increasing effect, because the n has been raised to a positive power, and since in the case of present value n has been raised to a negative power, we are having a diminishing effect, or we are having a reducing effect. Because if you do not diminish the future value across the n number of years against I% rate of interest, then we cannot arrive at the present value. Once again, students, if we do not involve the diminishing effect, if we do not involve the reducing effect, then we cannot reduce the future cash flows to their present values across n number of years for I% rate of interest. That is the reason why you will find that in the case of present value calculation, Fn has been divided by 1 plus I to the power of n instead of multiplying it by 1 plus I to the power of n. The moment we multiply 1 plus I to the power of n with p, we are giving effect to a compounding effect. But the moment we are dividing Fn, you might be finding over here, student, that Fn, it means what? F stands for the future cash flows, n across n number of years. It means across n number of years, the future value cash flows are being reduced by I% required rate of return for n number of years so as to arrive at its comparable value at the present. Needless to say, the present value has to be lesser in amount as compared to the future value, while in the case of the future value has to be more than the present value if it is increasing by 1 plus I to the power of n. Once again, students, in the case of the present value, the present value or the present amount should be lesser than the future value, and that lessening or diminishing effect is being given by dividing each and every future cash flows across n number of years by the I% rate of interest raised to the power n. Only when we divide each and every future cash flows by the I% rate of interest across n number of years, that we can reduce the power of f, or we can reduce the amount of f to its comparable value in the present. Contrary to it, when we need to calculate the present value, when we try to calculate the future value against a present cash outlay, we need to increase it, we need to multiply it, we need to give an increasing effect by multiplying it by 1 plus I raised to the power n. So this is what, the future value is giving us an additive or an increasing effect, while the present value calculation is giving us a diminishing effect. The same thing has been written over here. You can just glance through it. By comparing the two formula, we came to some important conclusions. Number one, the concept of compounding is used for future value calculation, while the concept of discounting is being used for present value. Point number two, while using the concept of compounding, that is Fn is equal to P into 1 plus I to the power of n, n has been raised to the positive power against the term 1 plus I, which effectively means that it gives an additive or increasing effect. This also means that as the interest rate or I increases, as well as the number of years which has been raised to an exponential power, future value increases and the impact of compounding increases. At the same time, students, when we are increasing, let's get back to the previous slide once again. In the case of compounding, when we are increasing the I and when we are increasing the n, the future value of the present cash flow becomes more and more powerful, more and more increasing in nature, while in the case of the present value calculation, the moment our I is increasing and our n is increasing, more telling is the effect of diminishing, more telling is the effect of reduction of each and every future cash flows. Ultimately, the present value of the same means present value of the future cash flow will be lesser in the number. Let's recap it. Just as in the case of the future value calculation, the moment we are increasing the I and we are increasing the n, the present value goes on increasing and increasing, while in the case of future value goes on increasing and increasing, while in the case of the present value calculation, as and when we increase the I across n number of years, since the I and n number of years had been, it has been used as a dividing factor against the future value. So as you can see from the formula, P is equal to Fn upon 1 plus I to the power of n. It simply means that as and when the I and n keeps on increasing, more and more the future value gets reducing till the time it reaches the present value. So if by any way n reaches to infinity, it might be a case, as we shall be seeing later on, that in the case of perpetuity, the n reaches to infinity. So if n is an infinite number, then ultimately the present value shall be almost near to 0. Once again, students, so if the power of discounting is such that if against I% required rate of return, the negative n or the n extends to infinity, then the dividing factor will be so high that finally the P or the present value shall reduce to almost 0. Now, the third point, on the contrary, just the opposite to what have been discussed above, happens when we use the concept of discounting in the case of present value calculations. The formula changes to P is equal to F upon 1 plus I to the power of n, the same thing which I just discussed right now. Contrary to compounding, discounting has a reducing impact, as a result of which the future cash flows are reduced to their comparable values of the present. As per the concept of discounting in the formula, we shall see that n is being raised to a negative power, the same thing which we have discussed right now, and the term 1 plus I is a reciprocal against the Fn or future cash flows, that is Fn into 1 upon 1 plus I to the power of n. So what is the implication, students? So by now I hope we can understand the implication in a more simpler fashion. The implication is that as n and I increases, the future value of Fn gets reduced with every passing year. Longer n and higher I facilitates such reduction in the formula. The Fn is being divided by 1 plus I to the power of n, which diminishes the Fn every year, thereby bringing it closer to the present value. Obviously, student, this is the same thing we discussed. And once again, student, if the n is infinity, or if n stands for, or if the n represents an infinite time frame, then the power of discounting shall be such that the present value of the future cash flows shall be almost zero. Now let's try to involve this conceptual framework as well as a formula in the case which has been given to us, and let's try to see that how exactly or what advice we may give to the investor. Coming back to the case, the condition laid down in front of us was that the investor was having 1000 USD and his required rate of return was 10%, and he was required to part away from his money for 1 full year. And at the end of the first year, he was promised with a cash return of 1500 USD. We had to advise him whether or not he should go ahead with the proposal or not. So now, putting the respective variables in the formula we have already seen that formula is P is equal to Fn upon 1 plus I to the power of n. So future value is 1500 USD, which has been promised to him. 1 plus I is the 10% required rate of return, which is being used as the discounting rate. One thing, students, be very careful. In the case of I, this same I, when we are calculating the future value, the same I was being used as a compounding factor, while in the case of calculation of the present value, the same I or the required rate of return is being used as the discounting factor. Once again, students, in the case of future value calculation, the I or required rate of return is being used as a compounding factor, while in the case of the present value calculation, the same I or the required rate of return can be used as a discounting factor. So, what is the effect? In the case of compounding, if I keeps on increasing and against the higher number of n, the future value of the present cash flow will keep on increasing in size. While in the case of the present value calculation, if the discounting factor I is increasing against the longer n, then more potent or more powerful shall be the reducing effect which shall be casted upon, which shall be inflicted on the future value cash flows, thereby giving it a more drastic reducing effect to arrive at the present value. So by simple calculation, we can find that the present value works out to be 1364 USD. The present value or the solution for this simple formula based calculation is coming up to 1364 USD. Now the question arises, what exactly does the amount of 1364 USD imply? What exactly does the amount 1364 imply? Needless to say, it can be safely said that this 1364 is nothing but it is the present value of 1500 USD which the investor has been proposed to receive after 1 year against a discounting rate of 10% or against a required rate of return of 10%, which is being used as a discounting factor. Once again, students, the amount of 1364 USD is nothing but it is the present value of the future cash flow of 1500 USD against a required rate of return which is being used as a discounting factor of 10% for 1 full year. So the present value of 1500 after 1 year against a 10% required rate of return or discounting rate works out to be 1364 USD. One thing, students, always keep in mind, just a quick recap, that in the case of compounding, I or the required rate of return acts as a compounding factor, while in the case of discounting, the same required rate of return or I acts as a discounting factor. So as and when we increase the I in the case of compounding, the future value gets bigger and bigger, while in the case of the present value calculation, more the I across a longer n, lesser will be the present value. So in the case of compounding, this I acts as a compounding factor, while in the case of the present value, this I acts as a discounting factor. Now coming back to our discussion, so we can find that 1364 USD happens to be the present value of the future cash flow of 1500. So how can we use this 1364 USD? What use is this amount, that is 1364 USD, which is the present value of 1500 USD, can be made to us. The logic is very simple. Going by this figure, if we need to advise the investor, we would say that the investor should take the opportunity to make an investment into this particular offer, because this offer is quite very lucrative. Why is this offer so lucrative? This offer is lucrative because, students, try to understand, this 1364 is the present value of the future cash flow of 1500. It means that if the investor is having, instead of 1000 USD, if the investor was having 1364 USD with him right now, then if he would have been dished out this proposal to part away this amount 1364 for 1 year against his required rate of 10%, against which he would have been received 1500 after 1 year, then the investor would have been simply said a no to this particular proposition, because in that case it would have not made any difference to him. Why? Because 1364 USD of today is exactly equal to 1500 USD 1 year hence. Once again, student, 1364 USD of today is exactly equal to 1500 USD 1 year hence, or after time frame of 1 year. So if the investor would have been given the offer to give up or invest 1364 USD against a promise of 1500 USD against a required rate of return of 10%, then this investment would have made, in that case, this investment would not have been of any use to the investor, because this is not adding any value to it. It means that whether he is having 1364 with him right now, or if he is having 1500 1 year hence, they are just the same. So this is how, students, we can make use of the present value calculations to make the cash flows comparable. So this is how, by using the present value concept, we can compare the present value of the future cash flows against its comparable or its equal amount at present. So in the entire calculation, this required rate of return or discount rate is very important consideration. So it is based on this particular required rate of return or discount rate, the investor is in a position to assess that 1500 after 1 year is exactly equal to 1364, which he is having right now. Why? Because right now required rate of return is 10%. So if you invest 1364 against 10%, obviously this amount shall grow up to 1500. So if after sacrificing his current cash of 1364 for 1 year, if he is not getting anything more than his risk-free rate of return, or if he is not getting more than his current required rate of return, then what is the use for him to forgo his consumption for 1 full year? We have already seen, student, that is RS equal to RF plus risk premium. So if he is getting only 10%, even after parting away from his cash for 1 year, then it means what? He is not earning any risk premium. He shall be forgoing his consumption for 1 year. He shall be taking a default risk for 1 year. He shall be undertaking an inflation risk for 1 year. Might be possible that after 1 year, the inflation rate goes up to 12%, or the inflation rate might increase, or it might go well past 10%. So if his interest rate is going past 10%, then actually after 1 year, what he shall be getting, that amount shall be reduced by an increased required rate of return. Why? Because the rate of return has increased due to the higher inflation cost which is being factored in his required rate of return. So in that case, prima facie it might seem that it is a lucrative option, but in actuality it would have been resulted into a loss in the intrinsic value of his purchasing power. So that is the reason, my dear students, that having 1364 USD right now is exactly equal to having 1500 USD 1 year down the line if his required rate of return is 10%. But if he would earn anything more than 10%, if he would have earned anything more than 10%, then obviously this investment proposal would have made a lot of sense. So whether or not this investment proposal is making a sense for him, we shall be seeing it in our successive discussion. But till now, just to wrap up the things, we can say that this is how exactly the present value concept is helping an investor to take a sound or a more informed decision by making the cash flows comparable. So how exactly the cash flows have been made comparable? The cash flows has been made comparable across two time frames. What are the two time frames? The present value is his T0 and the future value is Tn. So in the future he is being promised to receive 1500, but he has to see that what is the present value of 1500 against his required rate of return of 10%. So the present value of 1500 works out to be 1364. It means the value of 1500 USD after 1 year is exactly equal to 1364 USD, which he is having right now. So in the next discussion, student, we shall be seeing whether or not this particular investment option is of any good to the investor, or whether or not he shall be taking up this discussion. Thank you, students. Happy learning.